Header up.
Rob and Chris, they're on the air. Yankees, Mets, they're everywhere. From the Bronx to Queens, the diamond gleams. MLB talk, the ultimate team. MLB is the place to be. Rob and Chris with the pitch you'll see. Swinging stacks and stories fly. Baseball talk that's amplified.
And welcome to a new episode of NY MLB Talk with your hosts Rob and Chris as we cover the Mets, Yankees, and all of Major League Baseball. And if you're on YouTube, hit that sub button. We'd really appreciate it, or the like button. And also, if you want to follow us on TikTok or on Twitter/X at NYMLB Talk, and you can follow Rob at Maraska. You can follow myself at CP7NY. So, Rob, we got a special guest coming on in a few minutes, but we gotta kind of react to this Jorge Polanco signing from the Mets. Yankees signed Ahmad Rosario. That's gonna be more of a platoon position, more for third base. Good guy coming off the bench. I like it. Rob, what was your thoughts quickly on Jorge Polanco?
You know what? I like it. It's a good move. We know how he played in the postseason. He was really great this postseason. You know what? It's a good move. He's not going to replace Pete Alonso. Let's face it. He's not going to replace him, but he's a good piece. Hopefully, a piece for what David Stearns has in mind to build this team, because right now there's a lot of holes. We've been talking about it. And you know what? I want to bring Neil. Let's bring Neil in so we could get his take on what's going on with the Mets. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Neil, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming back on.
Okay. Hey, Rob. How you doing? How you doing, Chris? Good to see you again.
What's going on, Neil?
Neil, so we got to get to it with you. What do you think about so far this off season with the Mets?
Well, you know, the offseason is supposed to be a time when you augment your team, you know, when you start at a certain level and you improve it. So far, we have not seen that. And Mets Nation is obviously reacting to that. So I think we're in a down position, in a negative position. And it's a matter of inching our way up now, even like to the baseline that we had before the offseason. So as you mentioned, Polanco is not going to replace Alonso, and Devin is not going to replace Edwin Diaz, obviously. So it's a very frustrating time, but it's not over. We'll see.
No, it's not over. And there's a lot of rumors going on with the Mets talking with the Padres. And listen, if we get Mason Miller from the Padres, I'll be happy, because that he'll be under team control for, I think, 1 or 2 years. And that kid could throw lightning. He's great. So that'll ease the blow of losing Diaz, who I don't think Diaz wanted to be on the team anymore.
Well, I think the operative word you just mentioned is could. We have a lot of coulds on this team.
Yeah.
We have, if you go up and down the lineup, aside from Lindor and Soto, which are, given known kind of entities, it's a matter of, are you going to get the good version of a player or the 2025 version of a player? And you can say that for just about everybody on the team. Vientos, Alvarez, Beatty, up and down, McNeil. You could say that about all these people, including the guy you just mentioned. And I think another problem with the moves we've made is that it deters players from coming to the team in the first place. You know what I mean? Like we had a better team to draw people in. We had a better team a month ago than we have now. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. So what's your feelings about Pete Alonso just leaving the Mets, signing that 5-year deal with Baltimore?
Well, I think the 5 years is key. He got his 5 years. Players are they're human beings like anybody else. They want to feel wanted. The Orioles made him feel wanted, and the Mets did not. So he got his 5 years. He got his money, and he's got a nice lineup over there with the potential for a ring. If you think about what do players want, there are different factions involved with all these trades and everything. You got the player faction, you got the owner faction, you got the fan faction. And the players basically want money and a ring, if you think about it. and most of them don't. I mean, they have some preference as to where they want to go, but I think predominant to most players in most of their minds is, especially if they haven't had a ring yet, is to get a ring and to get the maximum money they can get for their product, with product being themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Alonso,
you asked me what I think about Alonso.
Yeah.
I think he was a proven entity. He'll give you his 35, 40 home runs. I think he's much underrated as a defensive player at first base. I really wanted to say that today, because, I watched them all. I watched most of the games now, and he sucked up everything. He scooped up everything at first base. I don't know why he has this negative image. He made a couple of bad throws, true, but I don't really think he's a defensive liability like some people make him out to be. What do you think of that, you guys?
Yeah, well, they were going over the some kind of stat with first base with pick them up the throws that are on hops first. All right, Chris, did you see this? And they said that actually Alonso led the league in those plays, which I remember, this season he did pick them up pretty well. So I'm with you there. I don't think he's as bad as they say he is as a fielder. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't think he was that bad, but I know I'm sure the analytical numbers and all that probably show a different side than what we're talking about. The thing I don't understand is, that they were preaching, that they want to get better defensively at first base. And that's one of the reasons why they moved on from Alonso, right? They didn't want to pay him the 5 years. But you bring in a guy that now they're talking about they want to use Polanco at first base. This guy has never played first base in his life. And the positions that he played, he wasn't great at. He played short, he played second, he played third. He wasn't a great fielder there either. So I don't understand that, the strategy here. You want to be a better defensive team, but you're bringing in a guy to play first base who's never played it before. Hey, listen, maybe he turns into, a great first baseman. I don't know. He might, but this is kind of you're going against what you're saying, by getting rid of Alonso. And now on top of that, we've been talking about it a lot about replacing Alonso, not in the field, but more in the lineup. Who's protecting Juan Soto now, right? Because Juan Soto is going to walk like 200 times. Because who wants to pitch to him if I'll get through Polanco or whoever else right now. You're going to throw behind Soto. That's my thought process.
And all Cohen had to do was get Schwarber, and you'd have Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Schwarber. Boom, you're done. You're set. Right?
Yeah, I don't know I think he's.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean about going from negative to positive. They went to negative.
Right.
They did.
Right. I agree. Listen, I agree with you. We don't know what's going on with Stearns, and everyone's crying that Cohen only wanted the casino. That's why he bought the Mets. Now that he's got the casino, the heck with the Mets. I don't believe that. I'm
not buying that. But he wants to win. I think he's a competitive guy. You could see that just last year with signing Juan Soto, right? He was going to do everything in his power to get that guy to sign with the Mets, right? He gave him all the extras and all that stuff. To me, he's a competitive guy. They're not done. It's just a matter of what are they going to do? Like you said, they turned a positive into a negative. They still have they still have a lot of time to do more to this roster. It's just a matter of what. That's what I'm curious about.
They have a lot of time, but look at what's out there. I mean, what's the best of what's out there? Bellinger? I don't know.
Yeah. Which Chris
you need an outfielder, at least one, maybe two. So
yeah. Listen, they're gonna have to make some deals. Listen, if they could get Skubal, but see, that's another thing. How much sense does Skubal make? Number one, he's a free agent next year, so they could just sign him next year instead of giving up, because they're gonna have to give up a lot. The Mets do have a lot. The farm system is number one in baseball right now. They do have the parts, but do they want to when they could just, sign him next year? I don't know. That's a big question right there. That's a big question. The lockout's another big question, Neil. What do you think about? What are your thoughts about the possible lockout after this next season. It could be a long one.
Yeah. Well, it's so far away. We got immediate problems before even
Yeah, we
worrying about
definitely do.
Right.
But I think
know.
everything I think everything plays into that. What do you think, Chris?
Oh, with the media and oh yeah, no, listen. Right now, Major League Baseball has all the you're talking about positives and negatives. They have all the positives right now going forward, right? With baseball, right there, the ratings are up, attendance is up, everything is up. They just played one of the greatest World Series we're ever gonna watch, right? Great 7-game series. It went right down to went to extra innings, all that stuff. So they have all this momentum coming into this year, and now all we're hearing about is a possible lockout. And I think that's a huge negative for the league. But hopefully they figure it out. Like, they can't screw this up. They have all this momentum. They get the new media rights, all that stuff. I know it's going to be on, 3 different streaming sites to watch baseball, or 4 different, whatever it's going to cost us. It's crazy, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe the Soto signing was why these guys are leaving.
Maybe, Dan.
That's a whole other, that could be a whole other thing. We're going to see in the next year or two how that's going to turn out. Because listen, we've been hearing, I think, Neil, you brought it up before we went on about Lindor. Like, we've been hearing rumors possibly to San Diego. I mean, what are your thoughts? If Lindor leaves, is that possible that they're leaving now because of Soto? Like, he's taken over this team.
Yeah, I mean, what is Lindor? You have to ask yourself, what is Lindor thinking at this moment?
Yeah, I'm curious.
How the brass feels about the future for the team. It's like he's on a raft in the middle of the water and everything's taken away from him. I wouldn't feel good about it if I were him. I mean, he has options. He has options that can get him the ring we talked about.
Yeah, you're right.
And why does he need the Mets? The Mets need Lindor so much more than he needs the Mets.
Right now, you're not. Yeah, listen, you're not kidding. Right now, they do. It's the team. There's so many holes. Listen, none of us thought it was going to be like this whole season.
Well, what do you think of this? What do you think of this comment right here by Savino? This isn't Stearns' team. So if this isn't Stearns pulling the strings, who is?
Well, that's why I mentioned Steve Cohen. Look, when I was a kid, George Steinbrenner was the big guy getting everybody for the Yankees, and I was a Met fan. I hated Steinbrenner. But now that I look back on it, now that I'm an adult, I'm thinking, like, the guy was great. He got all the players. It wasn't my money. What do I care? Let him get all the players and get us to championships, So I think Steve Cohen may have been a little bit out to lunch on this. Maybe he is focusing more on the casino, which, by the way, no one's going to go to if the Mets don't have any attendance. So
that's right. That's right. So he needs. Yeah, we talked about that. He needs a winning team. He needs people to leave that stadium happy and want to go out and have some more fun. But I get.
How is the traffic going to be once the casino goes up? Like in 2030, it's supposed to be done. Like, how is even leading up to it being done, the traffic in and out of there while they're doing the construction? It's going to be a nightmare these next couple of years before it's built. And then when it's built, I'm sure it's still going to be a nightmare. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to figure this out.
And we just got over LaGuardia Airport being finished.
Right, exactly. But you know what? Thank God that came out great. I mean, LaGuardia is a beautiful airport now.
Really? You ever try to get an Uber from JetBlue? It's like a 2-mile walk.
Yeah.
Oh, Neil, there's one for you about your guitars.
Oh yeah, it is an ovation.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
That's true. Thank you, Hair and Descartes.
Yeah, that's great. All right, listen.
Descartes.
There's some other stuff I want to get into because we sort of have a different audience now. It's bigger and different people. So, Neil, first off, I want to talk real quick about the time what you did for that kid whose autograph collection was stolen. All right, because I still that was an amazing thing. There was a kid, he was in Florida, right, and it was stolen.
Yeah, during spring training. Yeah, during spring training.
Yeah, he was at spring training,
so,
and
he was in Yankee spring training camp. And somebody stole his cards with the autographs on them. And I've been an autograph collector since I'm like 11 years old. My father got me Jackie Robinson's autograph. He had come into my father's store, and it started this frenzy of collecting autographs. And So I have tons of autographs. So I sent the kid a big box of autographed pictures of, Peyton Manning, all kinds of big stars, Barry Bonds. And I felt so bad for the kid. And he wound up, it was a blessing in disguise for him because people from all over the country wound up sending him autographs, thousands of autographs, I guess. But that was pretty cool.
Listen, the minute you told me about that, I sent them some autographs and I got a thank you card from him.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative he was. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a great story. But there's also another story about autographs when you were a kid. If you don't mind telling that story again with the post.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I grew up in Brooklyn on Burnett Street, which is right near Marine Park in Brooklyn, if anybody knows the area. And we had 4 apartment buildings, and we had literally had like 100 kids on the block. And once I started collecting autographs, I would say about 20, 30 more kids started collecting. And what we did was when we were little kids, we couldn't meet the players most of the time or meet celebrities or meet politicians. So we would write to them. And back then in the 60s and 70s, people would actually get back to you. Like Hank Aaron signed a letter of mine. Neil Armstrong, before he went to the moon, he signed my letter and sent it back to me on NASA station in a NASA envelope. So what happened was it became a nightmare for our mailman. And I absolutely think that we doubled his mail load every day.
Whoa.
And in the summer, it was like a ritual. We would wait. All the mailboxes were in the lobby of the apartment buildings. And he knew all of us. We would sit behind him and he would just say, okay, Neil, this is for you. Jay, this is for you. Ricky, this is for you. Mike, this is for you. And he would spend like 40 minutes in each building. He previously had probably spent 10 minutes in each building. So we made his life hell by writing to all these ball players and celebrities. It was insane.
That's a great story, though. I love that story. It's just one of those stories because that's what we used to do. We used to have to write for autographs. I wrote to like every major league team that I wanted some promo stuff from them, and I would say about 20 of the teams back then in the late 70s sent me a bunch of stuff. Sure. Press kits, autographs, pictures, everything. It was
stickers, everything. Well, you reminded me of an even funnier story. There was a guy. Okay, so we sent letters to everybody. We didn't care, even if we weren't fans of the team. So we sent stuff to the Minnesota North Stars hockey team players. Right. This is 30 kids from New York, from Brooklyn, sending mail to the Minnesota North Stars. Right.
It must have been like, what the?
So finally. I get a letter from a guy named Ren Blair. I'll never forget this. W-R-E-N Blair. He was the general manager of the Minnesota North Stars. And he sends me this letter, which I wish I had now. I'd give anything for it. Dear Neil Berliner, please stop sending fan mail to the Minnesota North Stars. Please tell everyone on Burnett Street in Brooklyn to cease and desist sending fan mail. So...
Why did you guys decide Minnesota and why not a different team like the Rangers?
We wrote to everybody. We didn't care.
Oh, to every team. Okay.
Yeah. We wrote to everybody.
Listen, that's a great story. You did tell us that last time, so I remember it. It's just so funny. Yeah. Sometimes you wish you saved some of this stuff because that would be great to have that letter. That's hysterical. You could have put that in one of your books because that's great. All right. I want to get into some more about comedy with you. It's great. Everyone, Neil is an MD and he's a comedian. It's like he does everything and he's a writer and he's an MC. He does everything. It's amazing. And I used to think it was
except
great.
Around the house. My wife tells me I do nothing around the house.
Yeah, we're not supposed to. Husbands are not supposed to.
And your practice was in Brooklyn, right? And you used to fly from Florida to Brooklyn all the time, right?
It was in Great Neck and Flushing. Then I moved to Florida, and then I started doing stuff in Brooklyn. And I still run a clinic in Brooklyn, actually, in Williamsburg.
That's amazing.
I do it remote. I'm a psychiatrist, so I run this clinic remotely from Brooklyn, from my house.
Yeah. Brooklyn would be by far the largest city in Minnesota if it were. Yes, it definitely would. Definitely. Put up that other thing by
Yeah.
Okay, somebody's asking me about the guitar back there. It's a Les Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Les Paul, it's autographed by Les Paul for my son. He on my son's birthday, he autographed it for my son. I
Wow.
went to the in New York City. They have a place called the Iridium,
Yeah.
where Les Paul would play every Monday night. So I went there. It took me 4 Monday nights in a row. He got sick one week. He fell one week in his house, but finally, Les Paul autographed that guitar for one of my sons on his birthday.
Joe is also
that's
a
great. That's
very good musician, Joe. That's why he's asking this question. He's big keyboardist, pianist, very good. That's why he knows his music.
Yeah,
He's
Sleepy he's a keyboardist for Sleepy Hollow Band, which is an excellent band. Neil, let's get into comedy for a bit. Who are some of your favorite comedians that you have actually worked with?
Okay, well, that's a tricky question because some of them don't want you to know. Some of them don't want you to say that you work with them. But I did a lot of stuff with the Howard Stern show. I work with Artie Lang a lot, and I think that's all I can say. But yeah, I've done roasts. I've had my lines. Let's just say I've had my lines on several Comedy Central roasts and Howard Stern show roasts. Yeah,
that I know that. Okay, I'm going to ask you.
Why don't they want you to? Well, why don't they want you to say that? Yeah, well, why?
Some comedians don't want to give credit for certain things, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't want you to know that they don't want you to know they didn't write the line.
They're entitled to that. But if you think about like the Tonight Show and Colbert and all those shows, they all have writers. You know, if you just look at the credits at the end, everybody's got writers. So.
Okay, so the Howard Stern show, Jackie or Artie, which?
I know both of them. They're both great. They've both been great to me. Jackie preceded Artie, and I really can't choose which I like better. They have different styles of comedy. Jackie is a joke machine. Jackie can stand up for 3 hours and rattle them off and have everybody in stitches. And Artie's more bounces off stuff. You know, he's very ad lib and can think of the perfect line, you know, at the moment. But they're both fantastic. I appreciate both of them. They've both really helped me a lot.
Yeah, Neil, I agree with you.
Give me your Mount Rushmore of comedians, stand-up comedians.
Oh boy, that's very tough. You know, I gotta say, I had to think back to when I was a kid watching even Ed Sullivan and maybe even like Jackie Mason from the very beginning. You know, Jackie Mason, he had a show on Broadway for years, and he's a genius. But there were so many. It's sort of like I was on your show a while ago, and I compared this to, you know, great baseball players of different eras. It's hard you got to pick somebody from like each time period, I guess. You know, like you got to like who was great in the 60s, who was great in the 70s. You know, like Steve Martin at one point was a big influence. And
it seems like now, Neil, comedians are not as what's the right word? Like they don't last as long as they used to. Like right? I think the older comedians longer lasting power than they are.
Well, I think well, when there was no internet, you could have 15 jokes and you could ride them for 10 years. You know, you could count them down. So like now with the internet, you know, everything is instantaneous. So I write a joke and I put it on the internet and it's done in 15 minutes. And then I you know. So yeah, it's become a much shorter shelf life for jokes, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Neil puts a lot of jokes out on Facebook because I'm always commenting on them all the time. And they're really great, but I know what he's saying. It's like you post one and it lasts for a little while that day, and then he puts something else on and so forth. But you got to check him out. He has some really funny stuff on there. All right, but if you had to pick one or two, okay, who are your biggest influences in comedy?
It's a tough question. It just is. I guess.
I know it is.
I guess Jackie Mason is one. Steve Martin is probably another. I mentioned both of those. Seinfeld, but Seinfeld in a different way. Stand up and the show, obviously, but it's just so tough to narrow. It's like saying who's your favorite baseball player of all time. You know?
Yeah. No, I understand that. Listen,
there are some lesser known comedians who are very good too. There are some lesser known who while we talk, I'll think of some names that you should check out on Facebook who are just geniuses, you know. But I can't think of anyone now. not a genius. I can't think of them right now, but as we talk.
One of my favorites, of course, is Don Rickles.
Of course, yeah. He was one of my major influences. Yes, I would say that absolutely.
Yeah, his clips.
That's how I got into roast writing, because of Don Rickles.
Yeah.
That trained me, and also growing up in Brooklyn helps you to get into roast writing anyway, because you're always ranking out your friend on the block, But yeah, Don Rickles was probably my biggest roast influence for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he is so great. He was so great. He just amazing how quick he was, and he meant it with love too. That's the best part, And everybody lived to be insulted by Don Rickles, right? They were insulted if they didn't get insulted by Don Rickles.
Right. It was a compliment. It was an honor to be insulted by Rickles. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely was. You're right. There's so many comedians out there. And I really couldn't pick my Mount Rushmore either. It is like baseball play, like Chris.
From different eras.
Well, Chris, probably if I asked you your Mount Rushmore of Yankee players, you could probably answer that, right?
I always get stuck on number 4. Like, you got to include Ruth and Garrick, and I think Mickey has to be on the Mount Rushmore, right? I think those 3 have to put. You have to. I think they're just automatics. After that, you could start making your arguments for Joe D, for Yogi. If you want to put some of the, the more recent guys like Jeter or Rivera, it's hard. And now Judge, I know he doesn't have the championships, but his regular season is going to go down as one of the greatest right-handed batter histories in all time, of all time, his career. So it's really tough. I would give you the 3, and then the 4th, I would, let people argue that one for number 4 being, Joe DiMaggio. People forget the guy's got 9 World Series championships. Yeah. Yogi's got 10. It's just, and they're just the 2 of the greatest players of not just their generation, but in all of baseball. So, how can you leave one of those guys off? But you're going to have to. So I would hate to do a Mount Rushmore of only 4 for the Yankees. They would have to do like an A, B Mount Rushmore almost for the Yankees. Yeah. But yeah,
or maybe by decades, or
Yeah, like you said, it's just like comedians.
Right.
The Yankees are, I'm not bragging or anything, but the Yankees are almost like
yes, you are.
No, okay. But they're almost like a comedian thing, like you're saying. Like, you got to go through, different decades, like, okay, the best of the 50s, best of the 60s, best of the early pre-war guys, then you got to go after. So it's tough. I would hate to leave certain guys off, but here's a question for you, Neil.
Yeah.
Of all the writing that you did, what's the one that you would put in a frame and want people to be like, that's my best work?
Well, I've written for a lot of roasts, the Flavor Flav roast, the Matt Lauer roast, the William Shatner roast on Comedy Central. Already did my stuff. But the hardest venue to get into is Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine, they're very strict. And when I got into Mad Magazine, I was in a parking lot, a supermarket parking lot, and I got an email. I was like jumping up and down. Some kids saw me. They thought I was nuts. So I actually went over and explained to them what was going on. But because it's very hard to get into Mad Magazine, because they have a very limited number of pages, and certain pages are taken up like by Alfred E. Newman and different things, there, Spy versus Spy and stuff like that. So to get into Mad Magazine for me was like a big deal.
Explain to the younger people out there. I know we know what Mad Magazine was, but explain to a little bit younger people of not just Mad Magazine, but how much it influenced comedy back.
Right. Well, Mad Magazine was the forerunner for all the late night shows, basically the humor, the political humor, the satire, for the Daily Show and all the shows like Tonight Show and shows like that. Mostly and SNL for sure. Mad Magazine had a big influence on SNL ever coming about. So when we were kids, maybe not you guys, I'm older than you, but
no, it was me, Neil. I'm up there, Neil.
Okay, you're old. Okay, this isn't that.
I'm getting there. Don't worry, I'm getting there.
But every kid read Mad Magazine. It was like a big deal.
Yeah.
The satire in there was amazing. they made fun of every movie that came, every big movie and every big TV show, and the lighter side of this thing in America, or that thing in America. So Mad Magazine was a big deal way back in the day. As a matter of fact, there's a documentary now about Mad on what's it on? I think it's on Netflix. I'm not
Is it
sure.
on Netflix?
I think it's on Amazon.
I'll think about which one it's on, but it's out there now, and it's all about the history of Mad Magazine. It's definitely worth watching. Definitely worth
I
watching.
think I have it right here. Hold on.
Yeah, I
Watch
love
me.
Mad.
When we
What's
went
it on?
mad.
When we were mad, I think it's called, right?
This
Yeah,
one.
I love Mad Magazine.
Okay, yeah, Howie Mandel. Yeah, that's right. A lot of stars are on it, and all the stars talk about how they felt they made it when they got into Mad Magazine. Like particularly Seinfeld said that, because we all grew up on Mad Magazine
Yeah.
before we had all these satire shows on TV. We all grew up on that, so this is definitely worth watching. This special.
Yeah, it was great. What Me Worry. I mean, I just
And the fold out in the back. Remember the fold out in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris, did you get into Mad Magazine?
You know what? No, I remember. Trust me, I remember Mad Magazine. I just, you know what? I was more into sports, whether it was baseball, football. I was big into wrestling when I was younger too. So those were the magazines that I would buy, and some comic books as well. But I was more into the sports magazines. If I had to choose, unfortunately, I didn't have I could have bought all of them, but I had to, kind of limit myself. So it was like sports, wrestling, and some comic books.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was telling you about the autographs and the mailman, right? There was a ledge in the lobby where the mail was delivered. And one day, I swear to God, I walked down the stairs to go outside and I see the first issue of Sports Illustrated sitting in the lobby of my building. And it was already like 50 years, very old. I picked it up. This issue had a fold out of all the baseball cards. I don't know if you remember the first issue of Sports Illustrated. And I just took it. I couldn't believe it was there. I have no idea why, to this day, why it was there.
That's great.
Yeah, I still have it.
Yeah. What's that, Chris?
It says, this is from Joe Dell. He said, let's hear Neil's Stairway to Heaven. If the jokes he's written, I could use a good laugh. So maybe maybe you're like your greatest joke you feel like you've ever written. Maybe that's what he means.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no, that's still the tough one. Because it's not going to come out funny because we're the anticipation here too. So.
Can I get a little not dirty per se, but a little risque? Is that okay?
Yes.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, you can.
So I was asked to write for the Matt Lauer roast. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Which was at the Plaza Hotel or something. And this was when this was actually right before right when the sexual stuff was coming out about Matt Lauer. Now, Katie Couric asked the writers to write a joke about Matt Lauer, little known facts about Matt Lauer. Okay. So the little known fact that I gave her, and she read it and it killed. I mean, it destroyed. The little known fact about Matt Lauer is that he loves to eat curry. And Ann Curry was there.
Oh, no.
And 1,500 people hit the deck. Howard Stern was there. What's his name? Tom Cruise was there. 1,500 people hit the deck. It was in all the newspapers. It was like,
oh boy.
So that was kind of a dirty line, but it worked.
It's amazing.
No,
I'll see some videos pop up about Matt Lauer, from years ago. Like he has been totally like you don't hear anything about that guy since that came out. Usually there's a comeback, there's a interview where he, oh, it really didn't happen. I mean, he's been disappeared. I wonder where he is right now.
Like out in the Hamptons, I heard. Just out in the Hamptons living his life.
Yeah.
That's it. But wait, there was something in November.
Somebody liked the joke. Hey, thank you for liking the joke.
Yes.
Yeah, Matt Lauer, there was something about 3 weeks ago I saw online where he was thinking about, trying to get back, but who knows?
Like Brian Williams, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Neil, I want to get back to baseball real quick. When you were a kid, name some of your favorite Met players. Like I loved Rusty Staub. He was
okay. I met Rusty Staub actually at the Mario Batali roast. I wrote for that roast, and all the famous chefs were there, all Mario Batali's friends, and Rusty Staub was one of his best friends. So I came up. Rusty was sitting in the audience, and we had a program for the roast, you know. So I came up to Rusty. I said, Rusty, you're the only person in this whole place that I want to sign for me. Would you sign this for me? He signed it for me. Yeah. So Rusty was a favorite of mine. Felix Mian was one of my favorites. Eddie Charles was one of my favorites. The third baseman, the glider. You know, I mean, I remember back to Roy McMillan and Bud Harrelson and those guys. I've met a lot of those guys in various situations. I met Tom Seaver. I met the Cincinnati Reds in the airport when Tom Seaver was on the Reds, and I had him sign. I had this promotional picture from Nikon of the Brooklyn Bridge. It was beautiful in color. And he said to me, "Oh man, where'd you get that? It's beautiful." I said, "Yeah, I got it from Nikon." He signed that for me, and so you know, Seaver. I had Seaver's poster on my wall when I was a kid. I told him that. And, you know, all the regular guys all the guys that everybody idolizes are the ones that I idolize, I guess.
Yeah, it's Staub. Staub was by far my favorite. Of course, Seaver. I met Seaver, and the only thing I had on me was an "Everything Beats the Whiz" shirt. And I got him to sign that. I still have that. I just thought that was so funny.
Well, Tom Seaver impressed me.
Else for him.
When he gave me an autograph, he impressed me because he took out his own Mont Blanc pen to sign that picture of the Brooklyn Bridge. He wouldn't use my pen.
That's great.
I met Gary Carter and Kiner in San Francisco in a bar once when the Mets were playing in San Francisco. They were very cool to me. They were very nice.
Yeah, Kiner must have been fun in a bar. Yeah, Kiner didn't mean a bar.
Rob just made his own joke right there. That's a good one line.
Yeah, well, Chris, you know,
Rob,
Chris,
you do some comedy. Rob, you do some comedy, right?
Yeah, that was.
See, Chris, you know, I used to write comedy, and I used to MC at comedy clubs in Jersey and a couple in New York for a while. So yeah, I get. Listen, I have to admit, sometimes I do send Neil some zingers on some of the stuff that he writes. You know, I try to get my best stuff when. Yeah,
I take them under advisement. Hey,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, yeah, let me ask you guys a good question, a good Mets question before we move on. If you could add one Met from the past in their prime right now to the Mets, just one, who would you add?
Ron Hunt, second base.
Wow,
the king of hit by pitches.
And the first Met All-Star.
Yeah, he was always a guy on base. He knew how to get hit by a pitch. He was the best.
First Met to start an All-Star game. I mean, yeah, he knew how to get hit by a pitch, especially when he was with the Cubs.
Yeah, definitely.
What a Brooklyn question? Do you see that, Chris?
Ever have a Parnell special?
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
I don't know what that is either. Joe, you're gonna have to explain.
We don't know what that is.
I'm from Brooklyn too, so I don't know. I don't know what that is.
All right, I don't know what it is either. Neil, you're in Florida now.
Something tells me it's not very savory. Something tells me it's trouble.
Yes,
probably.
Drink.
Yeah,
maybe?
if it comes from Joe, it does. Okay, favorite pizza joint in Brooklyn, Neil.
Okay, I would say Totano's on Neptune Avenue. The white pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you rate L&B?
The next answer is Brennan and Carr.
That's a little different than pizza, but all right, we'll be all right with that. Yeah. No, L&B would have probably been mine, or even Da Vinci's.
Da Vinci.
I love L&B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it's changed a little bit, L&B. That's what I've only heard that, but
yeah. Well, it's still
all right. Here's
good.
Joe's explanation.
It's a cheese sandwich that's made on a round roll. There's like 5 or 7 different cheeses on the thing, and it gets baked in the oven. Was only 2 places in Brooklyn. I don't even know what that is, Joe. And Chris doesn't.
All I know is I've never heard of it either. But you know what? It sounds really good. Anything with cheese, I'm all for. So put it baked in the oven. That sounds really good. But that's something new.
Yeah,
you know what? I got to ask my dad. I'll ask my brother too. Maybe they've heard of it.
All right, Neil, Pat Cooper. What's your thoughts about Pat Cooper?
I love Pat Cooper because we have the same birthday, July 31st. I wrote for the Pat Cooper roast, actually, the Friars Club.
Yeah.
I wrote for that roast of his. And
yeah, I knew that. That's one of the reasons I asked you.
I wrote the joke I wrote. I think Artie did it, actually. It was back in the 70s. Pat Cooper was constantly on tour, but now the only tour he's on is Lipid Tour. It's a medicine.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Neil, let me ask you something
That's a good one.
from a comedian. Like, why do you think roasts have endured over all the years? I mean, you could see ones from the 60s.
Yeah.
Now that they're still rolling. Like, why do you think they're so popular?
Well, people like bringing down icons. They like making fun of icons. They like making fun of people who they like. Like, if you don't like somebody, you don't want to really do the roast jokes on that person. You know, you have to admire the person, you know, in the first place. There has to be some level of respect for the roast to work.
I loved when Bob Newhart used to roast Don Rickles because they were such great friends.
They were best friends, yeah.
Yeah, they traveled the world. With their wives, and families, they traveled the world together. And did you get to see the special about that? It was a short.
I'm not sure. I knew they were very good friends and traveled together with their wife. That I did know. So maybe I did see it. I don't remember.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance.
No, Rob, I don't remember everything these days. You know,
it's good if you ever get a chance on YouTube. All right, we want to talk, Chris. Why don't you bring this up? The band that Neil's involved with. Why don't you? Bring that up?
Yeah, definitely. The Ronnie Hill Band, right? Tell us a little bit about that. I'll bring up the.
I don't want to bore the audience. I'll just tell you very briefly. I'm in a new band. I was in a cover band for a couple of years. And one day I just looked at the guys in the cover band. Oh, thanks so much. Thank you. Yeah, how many listeners we got? 1,066. So
okay.
I expect it to go up, not down after this show. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
hit that follow button on Spotify. Check them out right there.
You.
Ronnie Hill.
So Ronnie Hill is a 21-year-old, mostly blues player. He has an incredible knowledge of the blues, great guitar player. He reminds me of, if anybody knows, Joe Bonamassa. Mm-hmm. He's a great blues player. But anyway, I had been in a cover band for a few years. And then one day I was looking around, I said, you know, I'm sick of playing the same songs, the Bob Dylan songs and Neil Young songs, all these same things, you know. So let's just go to the original stuff. So we took on Ronnie Hill, and it's three old guys and Ronnie Hill, you know, three guys in their 60s and Ronnie Hill. And we dedicated a year to putting out an album of just all original stuff. And I hope people take a listen. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, we did. Chris and myself, the last time we had you on, we listened and we really liked it, right, Chris?
Yeah, I came back with like a little bit of Stevie Ray Vaughan, like that type of sound. And anybody who doesn't know Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's another guy everybody should be listening to, whether you like the blues or not. But that's what I got. A little bit of him for sure, and a little bit of I always forget his name.
Another one people compare him to is Jeff Healey.
Yes, that's the guy I was thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, really? Was it Jeff Healey?
Yes.
Okay.
Blind guy, amazing.
So I guess if you guys like SRV and Jeff Healey, give it a listen. I appreciate it.
Should I put one of the songs on real quick just to get a clip of it?
Yeah, put on whatever you want. Yeah.
You tell me.
Put on one I wrote. Cancellation Blues.
Okay. Let's see. Should come up, I think. Let's see. Did you hear it at all?
Yeah.
They said I had the gig and the plane ticket was sent.
This is about a gig that got canceled.
They diss me like a pig. That's what I'm most resent. I got the cancellation blues.
Yeah.
Down to my last red cent.
Thanks a lot.
I was broke to hear.
All right, there's a little snippet of it.
Thanks.
There you go.
No, that's great. love that. Love that. Joe Dell, you got to check that out, and let us know what you think about that too. Joe's very big on this stuff. All right, let's give them a follow. Definitely, check it out, everybody. You definitely won't be disappointed. All right, so I wanted to
Heels everywhere, right? Spotify,
Apple, all those services,
all that stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
YouTube. Okay, so definitely.
All right,
check
Neil, let's talk about about Rapping Granny and the Stern Show, because I always love that.
Well, Rapping Granny was my entry into show business, I guess, into writing. I had seen this old lady from Queens, like she called herself a rapper, and she was rapping and wearing a mini skirt and stuff. So I had written some comedy. So I came up to her and said, look, would you mind if I gave you some more lyrics, to work with? And she said, sure. So I set up a website for her back then. This was like 1999, actually. I set up a website for her and a message machine, that had a Rapping Granny message. And 6 months later, the Howard Stern Show got in touch with us, and she wound up doing like 15 appearances on the Howard Stern Show. So that was like my entree into writing for famous people.
Yeah, well, I remember those appearances on Stern, and they were funny. Here we have some pictures from Neil's website, which you guys should definitely check out.
Stop over there, because in the upper left, that's a place in New York called the Pit, where they do improvisational comedy. So they advertised my workshop in the men's room. That's an advertisement for my workshop.
That's great.
Oh, that's
what they thought of me. That's what they thought of me over there.
Wow.
No, I love. And listen, you could take joke writing courses from Neil too, which would be great.
Not in the bathroom either. They won't be located in the bathroom.
No.
Yeah, no, I love that stuff. The Mad Magazine.
Boy, I'm getting so much promo over this show. My God. Okay, so there's Rapping Granny in the middle over there, and there's
I remember her. I remember
me and Artie, and there's me. There's me in the Stern van. Me and Gary Delabate, Baba Booey. Yeah, I had a good time with the Stern Show. It was fantastic.
Did you intersect with Chauncey at all when he was there, or no?
What?
Did you work with Chauncey at all? Because I know we just had Chauncey.
No, I know we never intersected. No, but I know he was involved. I know he's definitely involved. Sure. This is a thing I thought of called the schmuck chair.
Yeah.
This thing.
We've all been there.
If you ever go shopping with your wife or girlfriend or significant other, whoever it may be, and you get stuck sitting there while she's trying on clothes, this is me with waiting for my wife as she tries on clothes all the time.
Hey, Neil, over the summer I sent you a picture of me in the schmuck chair.
I know you did. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
We've all been there at least once, more than once in our life, unfortunately.
These are some comedians I've worked with. Second from the left on top is Jill Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel's sister. Fantastic comedian.
Yeah.
And then second on the right, second from the right is that's at Mad Magazine headquarters. And just various other comedians I've worked with.
Yeah, so check out Neil's website. Neil Berliner.
NeilBerlinerComedy.com. If anybody wants me to write for them, I could possibly write for you if you're interested.
It's pretty amazing and how many different people you've worked with and interacted with. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Lucky with this stuff.
Now let's get into. I want to get Neil's opinion on some of this Hall of Fame stuff that we always talk about. Neil, Pete Rose, does he belong in the Hall of Fame or not?
One word answer: yes.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
so.
What is the Hall of Fame without the leading hitter of all time? I mean, and especially now with the gambling involvement of Major League Baseball, with it being rampant all over the shows, with the commentators having to talk about, whether they think, Nolan McLean is going to have 11 strikeouts or 9 strikeouts during the game. Come on. They're so entrenched in gambling at this point. All the major sports are so entrenched in gambling now. How could you not, give him the pass and let him in?
Yeah,
me, he's
it's like
Yeah.
it's not a valid institution without your leading hitter or hit leader being in there. In my opinion.
I
What
agree,
about
and
the
it's
home run?
like okay, the
What
first
about the home
pitch.
run leader?
What about the home run stuff?
Yeah. Well, what about the home run leader? If you want to
Yeah,
put the leader in,
well, yeah. I
right?
mean, performance
Yeah.
enhancing drugs is another issue. Maybe there should be an asterisk or
There
something.
you go.
For PEDs, maybe they
Yeah.
should have that.
Yeah,
I'm more
but-
convinced that Pete Rose should be in than the steroid players because at
Yeah,
least
I agree.
the steroid players had an unfair advantage over the non-steroid players, over the drug
It's
enhancement.
just that we don't know who did, who didn't, right? We don't know how many. That's
True.
that problem. Like if it was more than half, then you could say, all right, hey, you know what? If more than half was doing it, you can't blame it. I mean, you can't really say, okay, Barry Bonds, benefited that much if at least half the league was using it. We just don't know.
Right.
I think that's the bigger problem. If it was only a handful of people using it, yeah, I would say no way he doesn't deserve it. And even one or two or three or whoever else is in the Hall of Fame that did use it, yeah, I would be totally against them being in there. But we just don't know the total amount. I mean, it could be more than 50%. I'm not saying it is, or it could be less than. That's the whole thing. I think that's the big mystery behind it is, to me, the bigger problem. And
Right.
I just don't know the easy answer, to be honest.
And there's other kinds of cheating that resulted in people possibly being in the Hall of Fame that we may not even know about. Sign stealing, stuff like that,
Yeah. Even,
Dan
taking the
agrees
greenies
with
or
you.
the other stuff, right?
Yeah. It's a tough,
Right.
it's a very slippery slope.
Yes.
It's a very tough issue.
Saying it nicely.
Yeah, it is. Neil, so what do you think about Jeff Kent get into the Hall of Fame? Belong there?
Well, I think if Kent is in the Hall of Fame, then Keith Hernandez certainly should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Keith Hernandez has a better
we
case.
talk about that all the time. All the time.
I didn't know
If
that.
Mattingly gets in, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't know that. But if you, I mean, who has a better case, Jeff Kent or Keith Hernandez? I think Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, well, Jeff Kent was just elected by the old timers committee thing, right. So that's why. But yeah, we always say that, me and Chris. If Mattingly gets in, Hernandez deserves to get in, and if Hernandez gets in, Mattingly deserves to get in.
Yeah,
right.
That's what we think anyway. We'll see what happens. So Neil, Shea Stadium or Citi Field?
Well, I grew up with Shea Stadium, so it's got to be Shea Stadium. I miss Shea Stadium.
I miss Shea Stadium too. Everyone says, "Well, it was a dump." Yeah, but it was our dump.
Our dump.
Yes, right? It was. I mean, Citi Field is a beautiful ballpark.
What's the cheapest you remember tickets to Shea Stadium?
I remember.
Okay.
How much?
Well, I was waiting for your answer. I was interrupting you.
I remember like $1.50.
Really? You're old.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm 60. I'm 62. I'm 62. Believe it or not. So wow. I'm up there, but hopefully I don't look it. I remember that, but I also remember when I was a kid, I used to get free tickets from Dairy. What was it? Dairy Lou or Daisy? Whatever.
Yeah. You collect the bottle caps or something, or the
Yeah. They used to. So I would get that, and then my father worked for a newspaper, so I used to get to go to games for free all the time. So it wasn't bad.
I remember prices of $350 for box seats and $250 for reserve seats. That's the cheapest.
Yeah, I do remember one. I do remember $150. My first Met game I went to was 1972. I'll never forget it. The Mets played the Padres, and they lost in extra innings, and Tug McGraw took the loss. So the first game, that was the first game that I ever went to at Shea Stadium.
I remember going to a doubleheader against the Dodgers. Doubleheader, remember those?
Yes.
And Koufax won the first game. I remember that.
Oh, yeah, so that was before I went to Shea Stadium. But I lived in Jersey, so it was, it was a little different. Chris, do you remember the first Yankee game you went to?
I think so. I think it was against the A's. I just the one thing I remember the most, and you both probably remember this. I just remember walking out and like your first view of the field when you first walked out of the tunnel, right? And you just kind of wherever you sat, whether you're in the back, the front, whatever. But that first, like you looked out and you seen this humongous, ball fields, right? Because you're used to playing wherever you played on Little League and all that. You never seen a field like this with the grass as green as it was, and it just looked humongous compared to what we were normally playing on, right? So that's
so green. It was like unbelievably green.
Right. Like, did they paint that? It almost looked fake.
Chris, you reminded me of a story. The first time I took my older son to a game, we had field level on first base side, and my son was probably about 7 or 8 years old. So he's sitting through the first inning, and then he gets up, and and it was field level, it was like really close to the Met dugout. He walks up. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's my turn to play now. I'm going to play now." He thought like he was supposed to, after the visiting team would take their hits, he thought he was supposed to play.
Yeah, that's great. I can't believe how fast this show goes. Chris, could you put up that the plug that I want to plug real quick before we ask Neil a couple more questions? Sure. Okay. I just want to plug these guys. Premier Auto Center in Staten Island on Forest Avenue. These guys are great. They always take care of me when I need something done to my vehicle. So if you guys are in the area and you want to check out good service, give them a call. There's their website, Premier Auto Center. Thanks, Chris.
You got it.
Appreciate that. Okay, couple more questions for Neil. Dan went to Yankee Stadium when it was 50 cents, Chris.
Oh,
there you go.
Neil, what are some of your favorite all-time bands?
I think Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is my favorite all-time band.
There you go.
Yes.
Our band plays a lot of covers by him. Okay. The fans react. Well, I'm down in South Florida too, but I'm a New Yorker, but now I'm down in South Florida. But the fans, people in the audience react like crazy to Tom Petty. Tom Petty was such a great songwriter.
Yes.
I miss Tom Petty so much. So,
yeah.
I have to absolutely say Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah. Love Tom Petty. What would you say is one of the best shows you've seen though? Musically?
Well, I saw Bob Dylan and the band back in 1974, and every celebrity I met that night. I swear to God, I met Andy Warhol, Jackie Kennedy, Bette Midler, Dick Cavett. I could go on and on. It was like we were like on the ground by Madison Square Garden. It was unbelievable.
That is definitely
the band on tour 74.
That's unbelievable.
That was a great
Chris,
show.
you want to put up Neil's website one more time? I just want to, Neil, listen. This hour went so fast. We had so much fun.
It did for me. Thanks a lot. It did for me. We have the blast talking to you. Baseball, music, comedy, everything. It's great. Check out Neil's website, neilberlinercomedy.com. Haha History. Neil sent me that book signed. I really appreciate it. It's a great book. I love it. It's in my library. And just check out Neil's website. He's really, really funny. Chris, let me go over real quick what's going on. We'll be back Friday night at 9 p.m. I'm not sure if we have a guest yet. I'm working on something. So we will let you know during the week. Yes, Last Dance with Mary Jane. Excellent.
That's a cover, isn't it?
Can I say one thing about that song?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing for a second about that song? That was an add-on. That song was an add-on to his greatest hits album.
Yes.
And it wasn't even a hit when it came out. It became a hit after the album came out.
And isn't that a Bob Dylan song, or am I?
No, it's a Tom Petty song, but he needed another song for his greatest hits album. He threw that on there, and it had not even been released previously. So it became a hit after it was released. I mean, after it went on the greatest hits album.
I remember that.
Not even been released yet.
Yeah, it was an add-on. It wasn't even a greatest hit. Then it became a hit.
I would think to answer his best song, I still got to go. It's not my favorite, but it's one of my favorites. I would go back to the entire album, the Wildflowers album,
Yeah.
you know, and that's and the title track is just
Yeah.
amazing. And that whole album,
That's-
if you get a chance, for
Yes.
me. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think, Neil?
Full Moon Fever is regarded as his top album.
Yes.
But Wildflowers, the real fans love Wildflowers. They go crazy over the Wildflowers album. It's true.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So Neil, thank you. We will be
Thank you,
back.
guys.
Like I said, yeah, we love having you on. You know, you have an
Thanks.
open invitation anytime you want to come on.
It's been a lot of fun, really.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll
And
give you
we
my
will be
spring
back.
training report. I'll give you my spring training report soon.
Okay, great. We'll have you back for spring training.
Hopefully
definitely.
it's a positive one, right?
Yeah,
The way we're going here, I don't know. Even the Yankees, they're not doing anything either. So
that's right.
we're in the same boat almost, right? We're kind of waiting.
Air Descartes. Thank you, Air Descartes. Look, I pronounced it right, guys.
There you go.
Definitely. Anyway, we will see you guys Friday night at 9 p.m. And unless something happens and we have to come on during the week like we did last week, let's hope it's not bad though, like last week. So
Yeah, I'm
we'll
hoping
catch
for
you.
some big signings. Yankees,
Yeah.
Mets, something. I mean, we're all
right.
dying. Both of us are
Definitely.
dying for something big. So let's hope we get
We
it.
are. All right. We'll see you guys Friday night, 9 p.m.